This week on Working Together, I spoke to my client Vangelis about his experience within the Mind and Matter method over the last 6 months. Vangelis is approaching his 40th birthday in a few weeks. His goal when starting with me was to be in the best shape of his life by that point. Did he get there? Listen and find out. Vangelis, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing and how's your week going?
I'm doing well. It's Friday. It's a sunny Friday here in Athens, Greece. So I'm very happy. I'm also very happy that I have already concluded my 4th workout for the week. So it's done for this week. So I'm ready for the weekend.
Nice. It's always good to get them done by Friday and then you've
Yes.
got the weekend to relax a little bit. I've been looking forward to this chat. It's been really cool to see your progress and I think it would be really good to share that with the people listening. To get started, can you tell us a little bit about you, where you live, what you do for work and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I live in Athens, Greece, with my wife and 2 sons. I'm 39, turning 40 in less than a month. I'm also working remotely. So most of the time I'm sitting in my chair, the chair that you see now. So at least 8 hours per day sitting on that chair. And I do marketing for tech companies.
Cool. What challenges does that present you when you've got competing priorities?
Look, my work has a lot to do with client facing, a lot of life inside advertising platforms, a lot of stuff doing in dashboards and KPIs. So I wear multiple hats per day at my job. You know, meeting with clients, sitting alone to do some dashboards, analyzing performance marketing campaigns and making sure that you're hitting the right KPIs, all sorts of stuff. And then when I go home, when I log off work, I go home with 2 boys that is also one of the most demanding but also enjoyable jobs in the day-to-day life.
KPIs, clients, it sounds like my work just in a different
Exactly.
How long have you been taking your health and your physique goals seriously, or how long have you been caring about that?
I will tell you. It has been in my mind for many, many years. Since 35, I would say. I've been consuming a lot of content. I've also have visited a nutritionist in 2003 and 2004. I had signed up in the gym. I will tell you how things happen. So let's start with the nutritionist part. It was going well. I was losing weight. We were meeting month after month. There was progress. But I will tell you what happened every time I had the best progress. I would say to myself, okay, now you've reached a nice point. You can take a break. And usually this break would last forever. So I would go back to square zero, to the beginning. This is my experience with specializing only on the nutrition part. Now let's go to the gym part. When you sign up to a chain of gyms anywhere, not only in Athens, you enter a big room with machines. Only once someone will explain to you how this works and what this does. You don't even know what part of your body you are working out. There's also the commute and also the anxiety of entering an environment with people who are very experienced on it, and you don't have the confidence for it. You don't know what to do. And do you know what's the best client for a gym? A client that never goes to the gym, who signs up, pays, and never goes. So I became part of that statistic. So nothing worked.
Yeah, I think the stat is something like 67% of people with a gym membership don't them. And I think you're lucky to have even had somebody show you the machines. A lot of gyms or a lot of people that I speak to, they don't even get that. You pay your money and then right, off you go.
And I will tell you something else. I had been consuming a lot of content online. Most of the people our age and who start to think about taking care of themselves, they will go on YouTube, they will see the best splits, what to do for biceps, what to do for back, for everything. So in my mind, I had everything planned out, what to do. I knew what exercises were the best for me, everything. But I never did anything.
Why was that? Why was there a gap between having a sense of knowing what to do, but not being able to execute on it?
Perhaps the lack of a framework. So, everything was sporadic before. A nutritionist, a gym, they were not at the same period also. Was not tackling the same things together. So there was mainly the lack of framework and a lot of cognitive load. When to do it, how to do it, will I have time to do it, how many calories should I eat, what the hell is macros and how much protein should I be taking. So there's a lot of stuff and you get tired of it. And at the end of the day, you do nothing because you lack a complete system.
Yeah. And how long were you in that loop of starting something and struggling to make it stick?
At least 2 years before starting with Mind and Matter, Mind and Matter method. I will tell you something. So this started in 23, 24. We started together 25. Yeah.
Yep.
It's also useful to describe the typical evening of a guy like me before starting. So, work, sitting 8-9 hours in front of a screen, commuting back home, taking care of the kids and the family, dinners, baths, putting them to sleep. And you know what was the reward for that stressful and tiring day? A big lunch with a burger, a beer, sit at the sofa, watch some Netflix, sleep, and then repeat.
Yeah. And I've been in that pattern as well. And it's difficult to break out from, I think.
It is.
So what are your goals? Why is this important to you?
Look, the easy and honest answer is that I started out of vanity, mainly. Okay.
No, nothing wrong with that at all either.
Yeah. So I wanted to look myself in the mirror when I turned 40 and not be disappointed. I'm happy I'm in this place now, but it's way beyond that now for me. For me now is the commitment to myself and doing things consistently that I would say I would do. So this transcends in many parts of your life. Your body, your workouts, your gym performance, your work, your family, your relationship with others, everything. Because if you remember, this was one of my biggest fears in our exploration call. That, I didn't trust myself that much. And I thought that this would be a potential barrier and a potential limit in my progress. That I didn't think that I would have inside me what needs to be done consistently to see the results. But I remember that you told me that we'll find it and we'll get there.
Yeah, and you probably did. You probably were not like, well, he might be right, but I'm not sure because.
Yeah, I was not convinced.
Also, I would say that.
Yeah,
I think the process that we've gone through in terms of starting smaller,
yeah,
and then expanding the challenge and making it progressively more difficult as you grew confidence. I think my philosophy is that is how you help somebody feel more in control. And once you start seeing results, it builds your belief in your emotional investment, and then you probably do believe me after a while because you're like, oh, actually.
Exactly.
Tell us a bit about what led to you joining and what was the thought process behind that when it was in October.
I will tell you. We started in October. We had our exploration call, I think, late September, and we started on the Monday of 6th of October, if I'm not mistaken, October 2025. I was following you since, I thought of it yesterday, since May 2025. And you were not the only person in the fitness community I was following, because I told you I was consuming a lot of content. But what stood out about you is that you didn't focus on the program, on the nutrition. You didn't tell the typical tagline of lose the dad bod in 12 weeks or get ready for the beach in 3 months and all that stuff. And I also enjoyed a lot of reading your emails, because they were not focusing at all on the nutrition or the gym split stuff, but they were focusing on the difficulties and the challenges and the cognitive load that a 40-year-old would have. And this is the main thing that drew me to have a call with you.
I love that, because sometimes I think I don't talk about nutrition and training enough. Sometimes I think
you shouldn't. Everyone talks about that.
Well, yeah, there is that. But then sometimes I think I do fitness and I help people with fitness, but I don't. I do talk about it sometimes, but sometimes I feel like I'm talking about the other stuff too much. So it's actually reassuring to hear that.
If I go now in ChatGPT or Claude and ask for the perfect plan with 2,000 calories and 150 grams of protein, it will ease on that. It will be amazing. But that's not the problem.
Yeah. If you ask it how to juggle your competing priorities and what it's like being a 40-year-old guy with a desk job who likes having a beer and a burger now and then with 2 young kids, obviously does not have that experience and can't come up with a plan.
And it cannot guide you from going to what I described earlier, to going to the gym 5 or 6 times per day that I go now.
Yeah.
Per week, per day.
No, don't go 5 or 6 times a day.
It would be an overkill. Yeah.
What were the first couple of months like working together, and what progress did you make then?
I will tell you, one of the most difficult things so far was the first workout. It took me more than an hour before starting to see how to start, how to calculate the weights, how to adjust the weights, what the exercise is about, which muscle to focus on. So I think I still remember it, that my most, let's say, difficult moment was the first workout. But then everything goes much better, and then you don't even think about it. You just go in the gym and start. So the first weeks were a bit challenging in order also to find the best time that works for you. Should it be in the morning? Should it be in the evening? How long is it going to take? But after a while, you get used to it and you know how much it will take you, what's the best time for you. Also, the first weeks, you see progress. I would say that if you stick around 3 to 4 weeks, you see progress. But then, and it's random, I don't know why. I know why, and you know why, but it's random. But at some points, you expect the weight to go down, but it goes up. Crazy. But this can be really demotivating. And this can lead you to things like, is it worth it? I'm doing everything right. Why don't things go as planned? But it's part of the process. You have to just bootstrap and continue what you're doing, not batter yourself up, go for an extra session of cardio or slash your calories even further. Just continue. Just do the next workout. Just follow the nutrition framework and be consistent.
That's one of the hardest things that in my work is when that happens, or the scale weight goes up or it doesn't go down, and someone feels like they're doing everything right, because it's easy for me to say it'll be okay, trust the process.
Yeah.
Some examples of people who've gone through that. But I think until you go through it yourself and you see those fluctuations, you can't really feel it. You can understand it, but you can't feel it.
Yeah.
And that's very common. That experience of seeing some progress and then you're like, I'm putting all the effort in, but it's not working as quickly as I expected.
And I think that this was also a main reason why I would abandon things like that in the past, because I would not see any meaningful progress after 4 or 5 weeks. And I would say, okay, I'm doing something wrong. This is not for me. it's not working out. Let's go back to what we're doing and let's reassess it again next Monday.
Yeah. Start next Monday.
Yeah.
What did you settle on with your training? When did you work out was the best time to train?
You mean what's the best time for me?
Yeah, logistically, you said you tried a few different things.
Yeah. I will tell you how it started. So I started working out at home. So we built together a home workout and it was going pretty well. But although I did early in the morning, it was not ideal because there was a lot of interference of life stuff between my rest time, for example. So you have a rest time between sets and you go and unload the dishwasher. So this derails you a bit from the focus and the lock-in that you have to do. But I found out early that the morning is the best for me. If you had told me this 1 year ago, that in 1 year you would be a person who would go at the gym every morning and do your workouts for 1 hour, I would laugh. I would say, I wish I would be able to do that, but it's not for me. I will never make it. I want to, but I will never make it. Now, the last months, since January, I shifted from a home gym to a gym, to a regular gym. And I go early in the morning. I go at 8:30 every morning. And I'm done by 9:30.
What's been different this time if you found the gym maybe a little bit intimidating or confusing before? Why has it been different this time?
Primarily because if I go in the morning, not a lot of people go in the morning, to be honest. I think that most of people go in the afternoon. I also tried the afternoon, but it was creating problems with my sleep. I needed a lot of time to cool down. So evening training was not for me. And I'm not sure if it is for the majority of the guys, 30s, 40s, 50s, because it gets you a lot of hyped and tense, and it's difficult to cool down and unwind and go to sleep on a reasonable time.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems that most people go to the gym after work, 5, 6, 7. And I found the sweet spot going early in the morning. 8:30 is the sweet spot.
Yeah. My gym's quite strange in that sometimes I go 6 till 7 a.m. when the kids are here, and it's really busy then. The rest of the week, like today, I went at 7:30, and it's completely quiet, peaceful. Yeah. The same 10 people there. Yeah. It's brilliant. I love it. And it's so much better when you don't have to be waiting around for stuff, or the equipment you want isn't.
I will tell you something different now, that if you don't have the confidence and if you don't have the experience of working out consistently, you might find it struggle. Let's say that your routine has a bench press or anything. After a while, you know that you can swap this exercise for a similar exercise that does the same job.
Yeah.
But someone needs to show you this.
Yeah, of course. What about the nutrition? We've talked about the training, but how did you find the nutrition when we first got started and up to now?
I will tell you the main revelation of the nutrition. So I started logging everything on MyFitnessPal a week before starting with you. So we had, said that we would start that date. And 1 week before, I started logging everything. And I did eat pretty decent and pretty clean, but I was eating a lot. I was eating close to 3,000 calories without even realizing it. So that was one of the big revelations. To see that you consumed way more than you needed it. And it's also very enlightening to start seeing what you consume. Because before that, I was just going by feel. I think that this will be good for dinner. This might be good for lunch. Let's eat all those stuff. We don't care how much they cost in calories, but they are clean, so it should be okay. I should lose some weight. Why am I not losing any weight? Because I was over-consuming food. So, anti-diet method, pretty straightforward. you just have to wait, the basic stuff, not overcomplicate it, but log everything so that you know what you're doing. At first, the assigned calories were a bit low, seeing them, but when you make some strategic optimizations, some swaps and sort of things, you get used to it. Now that you remember that I'm in the reverse diet period, and you remember that I'm always anxious that the excess calories, I don't need them. I don't know where to feed those calories. I'm pretty okay with the calories I'm consuming now. And I fear that if I consume more calories, I will be overweight again.
Yeah.
But it's not.
And that's very, very common. I think when you've worked hard to lose some body fat and you feel like good with your physique, we always have to get out of the calorie deficit. I want you to be fueling your training properly, but not only your training, like your performance at work, and it makes everything better being able to eat more. But the common challenge is the mentality around eating more when you feel like, does this mean I'm going to put body fat back on?
Yeah.
And also, practically, when you've got used to eating less food, it's quite challenging to then eat more, and that's why we take it slow and steady. I think we've gone from, I think we're at 1,600 calories, and now we're at 2,000 plus, and your weight is still gone up a little bit, come down again.
Yeah, exactly. I will tell you also some challenges that I faced during the first period of the nutrition calibration. You have to think that you wake up and you have an allowance of that many calories, like a budget. I was thinking it like a daily budget.
Yeah.
There were days that I would consume my daily budget by noon, and I wouldn't know how to continue and how to have dinner. So, you adjust your things, you go. And what helped me in this front was to do a bit boring stuff and have the same stuff pretty much every day without missing anything. I mean, I like having the same options for breakfast every morning, and also have 4 or 5 options for lunch and 4 or 5 options for dinner. And I don't think I'm not eating any dieting food. I'm eating eggs, steak, chicken, yogurt, fruits, everything. I don't restrict myself. I don't feel like I'm dieting.
Mm-hmm. Good. I love to hear that. I remember asking you a few months ago about the nutrition, and I said, like, is the hunger okay?
Yeah.
I just remember you saying, I'm trying to lose body fat. I'm going to be hungry now and then.
Yeah. It's part of the process. Yeah.
And I suppose you've got the challenge of having some of my favorite foods in the world freely available to you in Greece as well.
We do. Yeah.
So your 40th birthday is coming up. That was the motivation for starting when we did. What have you achieved between October last year and coming up on your 40th birthday, and how are you feeling about progress?
So I'm turning 40, and I'm in the best shape I have been in my entire adult life. So you remember when we started and we were trying to find the North Star goal, I would say that I think that 72, 73 kilos would be something that I have never been there, and it would be great. And you told me that this would be easy. Let's aim higher. And now I'm around 16, which is great. And, how I look myself in the mirror is also great. My upper body is fuller. I can feel my legs stronger and also fuller. And I like what I see.
Great. That was the aim. And what other benefits have you noticed from that?
Look, I will tell you how my day goes and why taking care of myself first thing in the morning is so important. I think everyone wants to take care of themselves. They don't know how, and they don't know how to start. But waking up and doing the school drop off and then hitting the gym, and I'm back home 9:30, and by 10, which is when I have my first meetings, I have already ticked the biggest box in my to-do list of taking care of myself. And this is something that energizes your day, removes out of the way a big thought that you have in your mind every day that, I have to take care of myself. I've done it already. And I'm working, so I have already won half of the day. Apart from that, the consistency of doing hard things and being committed to yourself and doing the things that you said to yourself that you would do makes you trust yourself even more and be able to take bigger challenges, and don't be afraid to do hard things in general, in your family, in your work. In my family life, it makes me feel more grounded and have better boundaries with my kids, and what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, and with my time also.
Awesome. Has anything been particularly difficult or challenging about it? What's been the most difficult bit of the process so far?
I will describe some difficult moments that I can remember. The first difficult moment was around Christmas, when the company dinners started being scheduled. You remember that I had been consistent in my nutrition 45, 50 days, and I had to go outside of this and go for a company dinner with steaks and wine and cocktails and sweets and everything. And I feel dreaded that, if I do this, I will take many steps back from what I've struggled a lot to achieve. But you explained to me that, this is part of life, and you can't have a clockwork life, and things will happen. And the important is to be able to find the way back. And now, this has happened a lot since then, but I'm not anymore afraid of going outside my KPIs and my dashboard and, tracking everything.
Yeah. Because those things are always going to be part of your life. So
Yeah.
I think I like to encourage people to treat them as a learning experience. And it might not be perfect the first time you do it. You might overindulge, and it might take you a bit longer to get back into the process. But every time you do it, the next one becomes a little bit easier. And I think that's the way to think about it. So we've achieved the 40th birthday milestone, but obviously life doesn't end there. Life begins at 40. So what's the next challenge for you, and what are you looking to achieve from here?
Look, the important thing now is to make this part of my identity. I've been doing this for the past 6 months. I have reached the destination that I wanted, but it doesn't mean that, okay, what happens now? You stop everything and you go back to your previous life. No, you have to find and discover the new identity of you. And you have to let, the person who had burgers and beer every night, it's something of the past. It's something that you have to let go and reinvent a bit yourself and transcend from the person who would say that I will start on Monday to the person that I started already. I'm just progressing.
I love that so much, because it's the perfect example of the physique and the fat loss goal is the immediate priority. But then once you achieve that, it becomes more about your identity.
Exactly.
The way that you show up as a father, as a professional person, as someone who looks after themselves.
And I will tell you another example. This spills over across my life. And for example, last month I had some blood tests, and all my lipids and all the things around heart health and everything have been in the best shape of the past 5 years that I have been tracking them. Now, the next challenge that I have, and I think that this comes from me trying to be every day the better than I was yesterday. So the next challenge is to quit smoking because I smoke. So I have planned that in 3 weeks I will quit smoking.
Yeah. And I imagine the idea of doing that 6 months ago would have been like, no.
Yeah.
But
If you told me 6 months ago that I would be a fit person who thinks of optimizing their life and also quit smoking, I would not believe you. But here we are.
And my personal goal for working with you as we move forward is to help you keep getting stronger, because you're making such good progress with the training, and I think there's still a way to go with that. So that's why I keep now and then encouraging you to up the weights on this exercise or push that one a little bit harder, because I know that we can keep going with that. What have you found most valuable about working with me and in Mind and Matter Fitness? I'm not fishing for compliments, but I do love to hear this.
The framework, that I don't have to think about every detail. I don't have to go myself and create the perfect workout and find the perfect nutrition plan. And with you, I just know what needs to be done and I execute. And this removes me the mental load.
Brilliant. What would you say to someone who's maybe where you were a year ago, when this was important to you, but you were struggling to stay consistent? What advice would you give you a year ago, I suppose, is the question.
Just start. In an essence, there's nothing wrong with you. We've all been there. Just take the first steps. Make it easy at start, and then things will have an avalanche effect.
Is there anything else you want to mention or say before we finish?
I think not. I think we covered everything. And, consistency is the main thing I want to focus again, and not losing track of what you're doing, because I've missed many workouts. I had many days outside my nutrition plan, and let it all go. You stay in the course, and things will find their way.
Yeah, it's not about those times where you miss a workout or your nutrition isn't where you want it to be, but it's about what happens after that. And if you can just get back into the process without thinking, oh, I messed up or I did it wrong, then that's how you set yourself up for success.
Most men our age have a mentality of all or nothing. So it has to be perfect, or otherwise we start from scratch or we abandon it. And why do I do this every time? And what's wrong with me? But there's nothing wrong with you. Let the bad days behind you and just continue.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
I hope that we can meet for a burger and a beer one day, either in England or in...
We should, yeah.
Take care, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Cheers.